On the line is Odyssey NFL insider Michael Lombardi. Insider calls here are brought to you by Rocket Mortgage 2021 Pro Football Pick'em. Turn your football picks into $10,000. Enter now by texting PICKS to 20357. That's PICKS to 20357. You can also hear Michael on the GM Shuffle, his weekly podcast available on the Odyssey app. Michael, thank you for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it.
It's good to be here. Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man. Thank you for giving us some time. Leroy Horde, my co-host here, he was the man you drafted. He was telling a story.
Leroy. Oh, my gosh. Nobody told me I was doing a show with Leroy. Oh, gosh. Leroy, good to talk to you, man.
Yeah. So, Mike, I was telling him the story about my rookie year. And one of the hardest things I have to do is is criticize young players, because I remember my rookie year, and I tell people, I said, you called me into the office one time and basically ripped me a new one and said, you lucky you were drafted in the second round. And that kind of, it was a reality check. But do you find it hard to criticize different aspects of football when you know how difficult it is and what, like, for example, a GM that takes over a new team, do you find it hard to criticize some of those decisions?
I think, Leroy, I think players want honesty, and I think you owe it to them to be brutally honest with them. And because if you're not, because your career is so limited, your career has got such a short lifespan, that if you waste any time where you don't have your act together, it's only going to cause more problems. So I felt like, you need to be direct with players. You need to tell them where they stand. You don't need to lie to them. They don't want you to lie to them. And then cold reality sets in. And I think, there's a way to do it. Now, there's a difference between coaching and criticizing, right? When you coach somebody, you're trying to make them better. When you came in my office, I wanted you to get better. I wasn't criticizing you. I was trying to coach you to make you a better player. There's a fine line, and you have to be able to convince players of that. You have to be able to get them to understand that what you're saying to them is really to help them, not to hurt them.
Michael,
mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Work for him.
I was like, holy smokes. And it was already, you remember that first year was tough.
Oh, we had ugly,
and then Tim Schaffner.
It was brutal. I mean, but, it's so much about, and you did a tremendous job of changing your career, changing your work habits. I mean, you had that thing with the fumbling, and you were able to convert that into holding onto the ball. And we don't make the playoffs in 1994 without your ability to run and your ability to really control the line of scrimmage with your power. So, I think when I look back on that times that I could see you running in the end zone against the Patriots, I mean, that started back in your rookie year when you decided to meet the challenge. And look, and Belichick had every idea to run the guys off the team that didn't want to be there, and you hung in there.
Oh yeah, it was that first year was brutal because Bill, we probably had 5-6 guys retire.
We have guys that. Yeah, I mean, you got to laugh at the training camps now, Leroy. I mean, you see these guys, they go one day, they have 4 days off, 1 day, 4 days off.
Crazy.
I mean, it's back when we were doing it out there at Lakeland College, it was a hard time.
Man, that's wild. So, Michael, we're very excited about this upcoming season down here in Miami. The Dolphins, souping up a lot of things on offense to put around Tua, and he's looked very good in this preseason. I guess overall, what do you think about what Miami did going into this year, and how do you think they can stack up in this division with the additions they've made?
Well, I think they've tried to do really what they've tried to do in this preseason is build a lot of confidence in Tua. They've given him a lot of short throws. Look, Tua's going to be a guy who wants to throw the ball out, get the ball out quickly out of his hand, and then he wants to throw it in the middle of the field. I mean, that's where he's going to make his mark, and his ability to throw the ball. Last year, he didn't have a completion over 30 yards with the ball traveling in the air. So he's going to be an inside the middle of the field and really take that check down. So when you go back and watch him last year when they beat the Patriots, he was, I think, 20 for 26 for 50 yards or something like that. The ground game won that game for them. They were able to really run the football effectively, and they were able to be 3 for 3 in the red zone to convert it. So to me, what I see Miami doing is trying to take all the good things that Tua brings to the table and maximize that. And I think preseason was an extension of trying to build some confidence, because we know his confidence wasn't very good last year. The way people rushed him, how it all went through, and taking over for Ryan Fitzpatrick when perhaps Ryan Fitzpatrick was still the better quarterback. I think they wanted to get some confidence out of him. They accomplished that in the preseason. Now we'll see what happens in the regular season.
Mike, you get a feeling that we aren't as patient as we have normally been with quarterbacks. Like, you drafted a quarterback and you say, okay, he's making the transition. We're going to give him a couple of years. Now, teams have no problem getting rid of a quarterback after a year or two.
You know why, Leroy? Because when you were playing and when I first started scouting, colleges didn't throw the ball, and so quarterbacks needed more time to develop. But now, these kids are, you guys are in Florida. They have those spring passing camps, and kids are throwing the ball left and right. Every high school offense is in shotgun, empty. They're throwing the ball like crazy. And so because of that, we're seeing an advancement of the game in the passing game, and quarterbacks are coming to the league more prepared to play than ever before. And so therefore the speed of that. But I think after 20 games, after basically a season and a month, you really can define a quarterback. Like, let's take Tua, for example. Tua is going to have to prove to people in the National Football League that he can throw the ball from the pocket, that he can step up with people all around him and to make tight window throws. People are going to force him to throw the ball outside the numbers and down the field. They're going to pack the middle of the field, and they're going to force him to make plays outside down the field. Now, if he does that, he'll have a great career. If he doesn't do that, there'll be games he looks really good, and there'll be games the fans will be saying, why didn't he play so good? Well, it'll be because the defense did something specific to take him out of the game. Right. So I think, if you're Miami, I think Miami has got to give him some more time, but I think they kind of have a sense of where this thing's going to go.
We were talking about this yesterday, Michael, that they, the Texans, they announced that Tyrod Taylor is going to be their starter, and I don't think anybody thought, with everything going on with Deshaun Watson, that he was going to end up playing this year unless he got traded. But do you know what is that whole situation going on right now currently? Because the idea that he's just not playing, are they doing that because of everything that's hanging over him? Do they not want him to get hurt because they want to trade him? What is the explanation? Is this a mutual decision between Deshaun and the team? Where does that whole thing, I guess, stand right now as far as you see it?
Well, let's work backwards, right? So if they play him and he's found, guilty on all these civil suits, the people will say, all you guys care about is players playing. You don't care about anything off the field. And if he's not guilty, people will come back and question him. So I think they're taking the path of, we don't have enough information. And that's the best path to me I think you can take, because, with the 22 civil suits against them, the 8 that the grand jury are hearing in Houston, 2 of which are not in the civil suits. So there's a potential for 24 civil suits against them. I think patience is the greatest thing you can do, and giving this some time to sort itself out, to find out what the truth is, and then make decisions. The league office doesn't want to make a ruling until there's been some kind of verdict given out. I think they want to make sure that. I think the Texans would prefer the league to take the lead on this, in their conduct detrimental program, but the league has decided not to. So for me, I think that by doing this is just kind of like, how do you know? I mean, why, if you start him off to play the season and, midway through October, he gets suspended, where's your season? You're better off just kind of waiting. And you got a new general manager, Nick Caserio, who's just gotten there. He doesn't have to worry about winning this year. You have a team that they're trying to rebuild. So patience is the virtue here.
How much surprise did you have that Mac Jones ended up winning the starting quarterback job for the New England Patriots, and that they didn't go with Cam Newton?
I was a little surprised. I thought they would go with Cam, only because I felt like the month of September is kind of like you're feeling yourself out with each team. But I guess Mac just did a tremendous job of really showing that he's got the skills to be the quarterback of the future. There's never a doubt that 2022 Mac Jones is going to be the starting quarterback. I mean, I spent a few days up there with the Patriots and talking to all the people there. you know Mac's their future. You could just sense that. The kid has great leadership skills. He works hard, and the players gravitated to him. Look, I don't think you can fool the locker room. I think one of the things that happened to Tua last year was I don't think anybody in the locker room thought Tua was better than Fitzpatrick. I don't think anybody in the locker room felt that that was a smart move for the team to make at the time. And I think that causes problems. And so I think this move by the Patriots, they felt like the locker room, and you can just read the quotes from other players, seasoned veteran players. Tua's won this, Mac Jones proved he won the job. I don't think it's anything against Cam Newton. Cam Newton just, unfortunately, because of the injuries, because of the constant pounding on his body from running the ball and being the kind of player that he was, he's just not the same Cam Newton that we're used to seeing from 2015.
What did you, I guess, saying with the locker room, but what did you think about, I guess, the response from Flo? Really, I guess he was the only one publicly who got to talk about the whole thing that was going on last week, where it felt like 5 days straight he had to answer questions about Deshaun Watson and the whole rumors. Like, what did you make from afar, all of that stuff playing out, where he doesn't necessarily shoot it down right after the game and then eventually has to come out and double down on Tua by the middle of the week? Do you feel like the organization's faith in him is strong, or that there is some questions from the coach about how good he'll be?
I think there are some questions. There has to be. I mean, they watch the same tape I watch. I mean, there has to be. When a guy doesn't complete a pass over 30 yards, when his radius of throwing the ball, like quarterbacks are like NBA shooters, right? If I don't have to go out to the 3-point line, why would I go defend it? And so Tua hasn't proved that he's going to make you defend every blade of grass on the field. And they're going to pack the middle of the field. They're going to force him to throw the ball outside the numbers on deep routes and see if he can do it. All those crosses that you saw this summer and the flat routes, those are going to be taken away once the brief regular season starts. You're not going to be able to get that. Everybody knows he wants to run crosses where he's throwing the ball in front of them. I think it's not fair to organizations to be critical of them trying to improve their team. Deshaun Watson's a top 5 player in the league. There's no denying that. If you put him on any team, you're going to have a chance to get to a Super Bowl. And I think they should do their due diligence. They have a ton of assets that they could give to Houston. The kid has expressed some form of interest in playing in South Florida. I think they owe it to their franchise to look at it. I think there's no sense in, and I think the players understand that. Look, the players understand that they're always, the competition necessarily isn't on the team, it's outside the team. So you've just got to be prepared of it. It's a big boy business. You got to put your big boy pants on and deal with it. And so I think what Flo should have just said is, look, anytime we don't make any calls asking for people call us, and we're going to listen to what's the best for the team.
Mike, we appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Leroy. Great to hear from you, man. Appreciate you. Nice. All the best.
Yep, same to you. Thanks.
All right, there we go. That's Michael Lombardi. You guys can hear Michael on the GM Shuffle podcast, which is available on the Odyssey app. He is our Odyssey NFL insider, Michael Lombardi, and that was brought to you by Rocket Mortgage's 2021 Pro Football Pick'em. Turn your football picks into $10,000. You guys can enter now by texting PICKS to 20357. That's PICKS to 20357. Thanks again to Michael Lombardi.